AOC has officially seized control of the Democrat Party. It is no longer hyperbole to say that she is the most powerful Democrat in Washington, D.C. A bombshell report by Axios revealed that Senate Democrats were ready to reopen the government 2 weeks into the shutdown. But Chuck Schumer demanded they keep it closed or they would all face the wrath of the far left. And since they caved anyway and disobeyed AOC's orders, she has fully activated and mobilized her base to not just vote Chuck Schumer out of office, but any Democrat who is not down with the socialist revolution. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, guys. Make sure you watch till the end because I have some insane clips of John Fetterman firing shots back at the far left. But here's the Axios report that this entire government shutdown was all orchestrated by AOC.
A group of moderates came to Chuck Schumer 2 weeks into the shutdown, 2 weeks in, and said, we're ready to reopen the government. And he said, no, hold out. Wow. No, hold out. Mid-October, he said to his entire caucus that if anyone tried to reopen the government, he would stand against them. That's according to sources that told Axios. So shame on Chuck Schumer. I know he's gotten the rap as the moderate, being beholden to the far left. No, he caused the pain. He pushed the pain through, along with Hakeem Jeffries. And it's quite sad to see the radical left take over that.
The actions of Chuck Schumer are being entirely dictated by AOC. Chuck Schumer and AOC both represent New York. And with the emergence of Zohran Mamdani in New York City, it is painfully clear to Chuck Schumer that his job is safe as long as AOC allows it to be. The left is adopting socialism not because they think it's a good idea, but because it's a natural extension to their anti-Trump ideology. And because AOC is pulling the strings of both Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, by the laws of power, she is the true leader of the Democrat Party. But she doesn't just have the political capital and influence to seize control. After the Democrats caving, she now has the financial resources as well.
And AOC, I think, will take him on. I think I talked to her tonight, and she'll announce tomorrow. If she announced tomorrow, she'd raise $10 million over the weekend. They'd be throwing money at her as fast. It should be record amounts because people are sick of Chuck Schumer and sick of him.
When you talked to her tonight you talked about running, what did she say?
She smiled and said, thank you, Burchett. I mean, she's my friendly neighborhood Marxist. I realize she's just about as far left as I am right. But, she actually believes that garbage.
AOC is the young up-and-coming lion who is challenging the leader of the Pride. And right now, she's winning the fight. She is outplaying Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries from a pure political standpoint. She's able to push moderate Democrats away from common sense and appeal to the radical left base, which means she gets what she wants, but she knows that the base will still never vote for these moderate Democrats who are pretending to be more progressive. And if they don't do what she wants, well, then it just ignites a flame underneath her base and invigorates support for her as a candidate to take over their position. That's why if the shutdown continued, AOC won. If the shutdown ended, she still won. She raised a ton of money. The only losers either way were Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. But AOC, riding high from a successful conquest of the Democrat Party, issues this stark warning to all Democrats in her way.
Does Schumer stay as minority leader?
I think what is so important for folks to understand is that this problem is bigger than one person, and it actually is bigger than the minority leader in the Senate. You had 8 Senate Democrats who coordinated their own votes on this, as well as you have 2 retiring members. Many of them are also up in several cycles from now, with the hope that people are going to forget this moment. And I think what's important is that we understand that this is not just a leader is a reflection of the party, and Senate Democrats have selected their leadership to represent them. And so the question needs to be bigger than just one person. We have several Senate primaries this cycle. I know I'm being asked about New York. That is years from now. I have to remind my own constituents because they think that this election is this year. We actually do have Senate elections this year, and my hope is that people across this country actually participate in their primary elections in selecting their leadership. Thank you.
You didn't really answer the question.
So what Chuck Schumer did to reopen the government was sacrifice 8 Democrats who are either retiring or not up for re-election until 2028. So AOC's radical base couldn't take their anger out on them in the 2026 midterms. And AOC doesn't appreciate that trick being played on her and her commands being disobeyed. So she instructed her base to take out their anger and frustration on all the Democrats who are up for primaries in 2026 and force in more progressive socialist candidates. I mean, what other logical reason is there for Chuck Schumer voting for a continuing resolution in March and now creating the longest government shutdown in United States history, other than the growing calls for AOC to primary Chuck Schumer? She is signaling to the base to begin building the foundation for her 2028 presidential run, because the field for AOC has never been less competitive. All of the Democrat candidates will to some degree have to embrace the radical socialist left, because they can't win without him. That's all the Democrat Party is anymore. But that same base also isn't going to vote for a Gavin Newsom or a J.B. Pritzker or a Pete Buttigieg over AOC. They're going to go with a real socialist, the prodigy and pupil of Bernie Sanders, not a centrist corporate Democrat pretending to be more progressive. I don't think the Democrats have a chance of winning a national election with that platform, but nonetheless, it further cements AOC's reign over the Democrat Party. But here is John Fetterman firing back at AOC, trying to take the party all the way left.
Do you believe that this may be, at least in part, about your party changing and the populist movement in reaction to MAGA and the Democratic Socialists, that this may be a moment where they want to take over the Democratic Party?
I promise you, America's future and my party's future is not socialism or kinds of outlandish far left kinds of ideas. And it's been a year ago, after we lost the election, a lot of those parts and part of those ideas pushed our party over the cliff. And that's why we're in this situation right now. That's why we're firmly in the minority. And that's why we've lost control of the White House. So some people, if you think that's a solution, that's fine, but it's going to be a competition of ideas, and we know that's not going to prevail. What's going to prevail is common sense. What's going to prevail, choosing this country over, part of the extreme in our party.
I believe a fracture will occur in the Democrat Party, where moderates like John Fetterman will defect over to the Republican Party, because it'll essentially be pointless to be a Democrat when one half of the party is trying to progress ultra-radical socialist legislation and the other half of the party is consistently blocking it. It'll be easier for those Democrats against socialism to just work in a more bipartisan way with Republicans. I think John Fetterman is completely wrong that the Democrat Party won't become the Socialist Party. We've already seen polling that over 2/3 of Democrats have a favorable view of socialism, and their objective is to seize control of the Democrat Party, not create a third party. I think the young Marxist revolution will completely devour the Democrat Party, which will only help the Republicans post-Donald Trump era, because I bet a lot of these moderate Democrats are only Democrats because of how polarizing Donald Trump is. So when he's gone, all of them will be comfortable joining the Republican Party as they see the hammer and the sickle take over the Democrats. And I promise you, John Fetterman is going to be the first one to defect. Here he is on CNN talking about just how evil, violent, and vile the radical left is as opposed to the right.
You said, quote, "I've drunk deeply of the venom of both the left and the right. As a connoisseur, I can confirm that the most poisonous, the bitterest, is from the far left." That is pretty remarkable to hear you say that as an elected Democrat. Why?
It's just been my personal experience on this thing. And when I asked my digital team, I said, we're on all the platforms. Really, what's kind of the harshest? What's kind of the most personal? And the answer was immediate. He said, "Oh, blue sky. It's blue sky." And the difference is, the right would say really rough things and names. Some names I won't repeat on TV, but on the left, it was like they want me to die, or that we're cheering for your next stroke. or that's terrible that depression won. Why couldn't it depression won? And I hope your kids find you. I mean, they even have like the graphic, a GIF where they have like a stroke, in your head, cheering at that. Yeah, and they said that. I remember one. They claimed, the doctor let us down, and why did they have to save his life? I mean, just really, like, I just can't imagine. People are wishing, I wish he dies, or I want him to die. Literally cheering for a stroke. And I don't know what the kind of a place where that comes from. I mean, that's much different than just calling me a name. That's really been consistent, in that community online.
There is no emotion more powerful, more motivating, and more poisonous than hatred. And these are the exact people that AOC mobilizes to go after any politician who dares to disobey her. She is the leader of a revolutionary-driven movement, and Chuck Schumer felt the full weight of that during the government shutdown. The left is significantly more inclined to violence. Your eyes would tell you that, common sense would tell you that. Hell, there's even polling to confirm that. But to deflect from the reality that the left has been taken over by violent militants, the left-wing media will put forward the narrative that right-wing violence is so much more common. And as John Fetterman confirmed, right-wingers will call you some mean names, but they're certainly not wishing death upon anybody. And while the whiny radical left will complain that the American dream is dead, that it's impossible to be successful in this economy, a person as dumb as AOC has gone from being a bartender to a socialist revolutionary who is firmly in charge of the Democrat Party. If someone as brain dead as her can achieve all of that, no one has an excuse to not be successful in this country. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.